How's the जोश? आवाज नहीं आई. No, it's very difficult to moderate a session. I mean, chair a session after the lunch break. But good, we should have some energy now in the room. Can I have a round of applause for all our panelists? I mean, these are accomplished leaders. Right from there, we have the money man, the lady who entertains you, Mr. Renewable Energy, and the cooling and all done by LG, and of course Think Gas, so power. So I mean, you can read their designations. Are wonderful people, accomplished, in the legal world, and I'm privileged and honored to be, having a session with them and having being in their August company. So the panel topic is legal as a profit center. So how GCs add measurable value to business? Now the world is moving, the business environment is moving. Outside, I was telling them, I was heading a marketing function, and 20 years back, we were the cost center. So marketing was a cost center, and we never bothered about. But over the years, the business environment has changed, and every money counts, every rupee counts, especially in the digital era when the marketing is measurable, every penny to, so I think that's what has happened also to the legal function, and legal function is now seen as a value add to the business, not only a cost. So that is the whole point of the discussion in this panel is. So starting with anyone who would like to start. The question is, how have you seen the role of the general counsel evolving from a cost center to a value creating function within an organization in the last 5 years? Opening question to all, anybody can take. Or you can start one by one, I think that would be the best. Very briefly, how you've seen it change over the last 5 years.
Thank you very much. See, traditionally, if you see some 20 years back or more in 90s and early 2000, the legal was more of a litigation management, and whenever any litigation came up, so you were supposed to do the litigation management. But as the economy opened up post 2000, all cross-border funding came in, major multinational companies funding in India. So a different type of in-house legal job evolved, which not only involved your contract management, it involved your compliances, your various policies to be synced in with international policies, privacy laws, data protection, your M&A, your cross-border funding disputes, international arbitrations, international agreements. So a different game together changed for the in-house legal role. And today, it's not only litigation management, not only contract management. You should know your business, everything about your business, because any day-to-day decisions which have to be taken, legal is consulted, and you cannot say, let me consult my lawyer. You should know everything, whether it is your M&A, your company law, your due diligence, your taxation, everything has changed today.
तो शुक्ला जी, यू हैव राइटली मेंशन्ड कि कॉस्ट सेंटर हैं हम. एक्चुअली दिल से पूछें तो हम कॉस्ट सेंटर ही हैं.
अब ये तो यही डिस्कशन है ना सर कि मतलब हाउ एंड इट्स नॉट दैट यू सेव मनी, यू बिकम, you add value. So
now how the role is GC is evolved over the last few years. Now it is a paradigm shift actually from cost center to show the management कि हम cost center है नहीं, चाहे लगता हो आपको, क्योंकि हमें भी लगता था एक जमाने में, बट अब नहीं है. Now we can project the things in a much better way, और बहुत ही पैराडाइम शिफ्ट हुआ है जिसमें वी कैन शो द मैनेजमेंट एंड आवरसेल्व्स आल्सो टू प्रूव आवरसेल्व्स आल्सो कि दैट यस वी आर नॉट अ कॉस्ट सेंटर, वी आर नाउ एज प्रोडक्टिव एज द अनदर सेंटर, राइट. आई कैन यू गिव एन एग्जांपल. फॉर एग्जांपल कस्टमर सपोर्ट डिपार्टमेंट भी एक ऐसा डिपार्टमेंट था जिसको हमेशा बोला गया कि यू आर अ कॉस्ट सेंटर, बट इन आवर कंपनी, राइट, ऑल्दो दिस वर यूज ऑन माय पर्सनल, राइट, सो वी हैव चेंज्ड द मॉडल वेयर फ्रॉम द कॉस्ट सेंटर even that department is a profitable center. So why not legal, right? So it's a big challenge. Of course, it's a challenge. Still today, it's a challenge, right? But there are many ways which we will discuss in this panel only, that we can change the perception by really looking into what are the good areas where we can project ourselves as a profitable center.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Ved, for inviting into such a thought-provoking discussion. Uh, I would say, long back GCs were looked upon as risk mitigators, but the role has drastically changed. They are now known as growth creators. How they are growth creators? I give you an example, right? Earlier, GCs used to give an update on the deal closure as I have vetted, negotiated, and closed a contract, right? Today's GC is different. They used to say, I have closed the contract, unlocking an investment of $10 million. Now, look at the two statements. The two statements are completely different. From the risk mitigation, compliance management, there is a ownership on the GC to retain value in the organization. See, legal pitfall erode your profitability, and profitability lost cannot be recovered. If you are a watchdog on the business team, on the legal pitfall, you can preserve value within the organization, and this is a wealth creation. So although not directly involved in wealth creation, but the GC's role is indispensable in wealth creation today. I give you another example. The role of a GC is like a aircraft pilot. How do I say that? The primary role of a pilot is to fly an aircraft. But ostensibly, the responsibility lies with the pilot is to ensure that the passengers reach on time at their destination safely. Similarly, you have a business strategy which is turned into a contract, right? GC's role is now more visible because he is expected to be an industry expert these days, to uh, analyze the business challenges, risk, and how to mitigate them. And how can these things be put into a contract to make it watertight so that whatever bottom line you have assumed, you are able to achieve it then. So the role has drastically changed.
Right. And going forward, we'll be dwelling deeper into it. Ma'am.
Hi. I believe the shift has been happening for quite some time now. It's not recent. In fact, I am maybe the youngest GC in the panel, and I've been fortunate enough to step into the role without having seen this shift personally. So I would say why they would call cost center. It's mainly because in-house department would be mostly doing litigation. Litigation was, of course, expensive, right? I mean, that's the only place where in-house counsel end up spending money. But over time, because GCs have brought in so much value, like all my other panelists have mentioned, in compliance governance, in risk mitigation, in helping in closing high-value deals, in quickly turning around contracts, that over time it's no more cost centers, definitely a very big support function to the not only the business but also the board.
Yeah, so that's why we put the panel topic, KJ has put it, legal as a profit center. So that's the discussion, Prakharji.
Yeah, thanks, Vedji. I think it's an interesting topic, but to start with, where you actually mentioned the role of the GC, but I'll take a step back and talk something about the legal profession. So I think some of my colleagues did mention that, earlier it was a localized litigation management sort of a department, but with the advent of businesses becoming global, complexities and multi-jurisdictional disputes, as well as transactions and international investors also coming into the picture, things have become complex and to that extent quite competitive. Now if you look at it, uh, all the returns that are expected from a particular entity by their stakeholders is actually risk adjusted returns. So if you look at it, let me just try and analyze it from a financial point of view. You cannot become profitable unless your revenue increases or your cost decreases, and that is where I think the real value of legal lies, that either we are in a role in which the revenue increases. There are some in which you have, recoveries and, litigations in which you have saving. The other part is basically around the saving of costs. So if I'm able to save by doing some things proactively, for whether it is litigation or maybe assessing the risk and allocating the risk importantly, then I think that is where I'm adding value as a GC.
Awesome, awesome. So, what I could pick from your opening statement is that now, or somewhere, Amitji, I think you said that you have to understand the business fully. Now, GCs is not only a role of a, as you everybody agree that it's not only litigation and stuff like that. You have to understand the business. So, how that has changed in terms of the company seeing GCs as are they the business drivers? And then proactively, as you said, before anything comes up, are they involved in the decision making process? And how does it go in the companies you are running?
See, I work in a company who has 100% FDI in our business. So for them, the role of a legal department or a general counsel is very, very important. So they do directly report to board. They don't report to CEO. And the independence, their own business analysis, every business decision which has to be taken, the GCs are on the board. Why they are on board? Because the businesses today are so much regulated. Whether the risk involved in a particular business, whether you can do a business in a particular way or not, what penalties can be imposed tomorrow, what are the risks involved. So sitting on a business, on a table when the decisions are taken, GC is a very important part today. Not only in this, you have whistleblower committees, compliance committees, due diligences. In every committee, GC is a part, and his opinion matters today. So apart from what I said, litigation management or general legal work, which a GC or legal department does, these are the new roles, and GC is recognized as a very, very business enabler who guides, strategizes with the business teams.
Just to add here,
Yeah,
you have
sure.
just mentioned that GCs are now the business enablers basically. This is actually true and fact, right? For example, marketing person are coming to legal department. Previously, if अगर होता था तो बोला कि नहीं होगा, मतलब अगर नहीं करवाना है तो लीगल के पास भेज दीजिए, नहीं होगा. But आज today the scenario has totally changed. We cannot say no to it. So we have to understand marketing better than the marketing people. Only then we can guide him. So we can say, okay, yes, what you are saying we can do it, but how safely and how we can do it safely, that's more important. And another area where we have seen the dynamics changes from the how we can become the profit center. If there is a contract is there, right? For example, some project is coming, and we can see that after signing the contract, we can get the $1 million per month in, right? But if the contract period is too long and it has stuck with the legal department for long, so ultimately what we are losing the revenue. So the turnaround time of the contract vetting and negotiating, everything has to on the legal. So in any case, we are now becoming as a important person in that.
Wonderful. So, I mean, the revenue impact have to be seen from, I mean, the GC has to see the revenue impact and then work accordingly, which is very good. I mean, GC reporting directly to the board. Everybody, I don't know, all the organizations work like that. Prakhar, you fund companies and all that. So, is it happening that GCs are part of the board or reporting into the board?
So not exactly part of the board. That is basically you are responsible to the board in fund. So I'll just take a second to give the structure, because essentially we are India's sovereign backed fund. So we have foreign institutional investors, sovereign wealth funds, pension funds, uh, and likes of other institutional investors. Plus we have directly the government holding it. So to that extent, we are extremely responsible and we have to be on our toes all the time, whether it is about governance, it is about compliance, or in an overall scenario from a legal perspective, because this is we have to cater to the Indian, businesses, but at the same time, we also have to cater to global standards. So that is how we are. But as far as reporting is concerned, yes, we are directly there at the board, but not exactly directors.
Understood. Amitji, you've worked in various organizations, all kind of businesses. How do you see the contracting, as said, Rajiv sir said that when you do a contract, you are actually accelerating it. So how has the contracting framework changed? How do you help in accelerating revenues? And how have your perception changed, or the way of seeing things changed in terms of contract management and stuff like that?
See, how we perceive the contracts has drastically changed over the years, and currently, basically the GC's role is not only offense and defense, limited to offense and defense and risk mitigation. They are strategic business leaders, so their main responsibility is to align different business teams to achieve the organizational objective. Assess the risk involved in a particular transaction, because very well business is a risk. Whoever takes risk can reap the profit or leave it on the table. If risk is assessed properly, right, probably business risk is assessed by the business teams, but at the same time overall risk, in terms of legal, industry perspective, environment, and you can say regulatory risk. Because if you start with a particular project and you face legal regulatory challenge which halts the project, probably it eats up your entire bottom line. So contracts are drafted from a perspective where the risk is pre-assessed, right? There is a proper workflow analysis which is documented and probably digitized and uh, compliance oriented, so you don't miss out anything, right? And you achieve the project within the timelines you have set for, because lingering the timelines means additional overheads, right? So as a GC, first of all, you are aligning the business team to assess the risk that no surprises come tomorrow while execution. At the same time, you are reducing the cost and timeline, so you are a watchdog on your contracts.
So
Awesome.
rightly mentioned that now we are not only the caution keepers, right? We are architect how the profit grows actually.
Yeah. So Debosmita, you are the, as you said, you are the youngest GC. So young people are into technology, and so we are talking about accelerating contracts for profits and stuff like that. What all technology enhancement or process enhancements you have seen or can be done to do this acceleration and profit enhancement?
I must say that we don't use any technology apart from the usual ones, but no tool, nothing. In my view, just a tool or like a contract management tool, they are not useful until it is properly executed. So we've steered clear of all of that. What instead we have done is we have set up processes. So what usually used to happen is that when the business would send a contract, they would not really send all the information. So that a lot of time would go in just to get all the information from all the involved functions. So we have created a process where the intake, when they're sending the contracts for review, they send with full information at least once they have. So that gives us a full picture as to what is the transaction for which the contract is to be reviewed. That's one. So that has drastically reduced the turnover time, because that is a measurable KPI, which that's part of the in-house team's goals, and which is also shown to sort of showcase how legal department has been partnering with the business. So turnover time is very important. So we have set up a process of intake, and then the second aspect where the timeline was really getting stretched was After the negotiation, everything's done, then what? Either business is clueless, they are trying to get it executed, it's taking time, lots of back and forth, printing and all of that is happening. So we've end up with a e-sign tool. So that has again really made their lives easy. So now they also know that the moment it is done, I can immediately shoot off an email, and that's how my contract is going to be signed. And other than that, of course, the usual measuring tools and trackers which we measure sometimes in the Microsoft environment, which gives us the in-house team also the visibility as to how we are doing. So the TAT, whether it's reducing or it's in a comfortable range. And also there are sometimes these recoveries which are to be done, which are very necessary. And recovery, I think, is the sure shot way to show that legal has created value, that we have recovered this much money. So all of that is also kept a track of, that this is the outstanding and this is how we have recovered. And it's not always through litigation, it's mostly through notices and negotiations and over across the table discussion. And the best part is, I think business is now understanding and recognizing that. So for any of these sort of activities, they involve legal right at the beginning. So then we are always there, so that things get done quickly, rather than earlier business would close commercial and then the legal negotiation would start. That is not the case anymore. It's a one set of negotiation right from top to bottom. Because a contract is not commercial and legal, it's everything is legal, I would say, right? So that's how, sort of, through some of the processes, we have tried to reduce the time.
Great, great. Yeah, please, Rajiv.
Yeah. I'm saying, you have asked about the technology, and yesterday I was with my MD sir for the strategy meet, and there was a last slide for request for support. So I have only put one thing, that manpower, and he said no to it. He said, I can only give you AI manpower, right? So that's the scenario which is going to be there. And for the taking just ahead what she has said regarding the AI and technology, that is the one part. I think there are still loopholes, no doubt about it. But if we have the data, in-house data only, and we trained it better, only then we can use that AI tool. We cannot use the public tool available in the market, but it has to be trained on our models only, our policies which we have drafted. Only then it can be successful. Of course, the future of litigation, I think the mediators will be putting the AI camera and Apple VR frame 3D things, then mediators can put. So that can be another scenario in the coming years.
Great. Yeah, Amit.
At what eminent speaker just said. See, GCs have largely looking at contract as data assets now. So whatever experiences we had in the past, good or bad, those are incorporated in the contract, and the contracts are, as I said, standardized so that it takes minimum time to conclude the documentation, and strict compliance management ensure that we have the speed, standardized clauses and risk management. With all this, the idea is that we are able to conclude the contract fast, thereby saving the time, and the time is cost. At the same time, the adequate protections and indemnities are built and retained, right? Past experiences are incorporated so that we do not come surprises while executing the contract.
Awesome. So there are young GCs probably in the room and watching. So looking ahead to 2026, what would you identify as the most important area where GCs should focus to deliver measurable business value? So identify an area, if you can just
I think,
share.
to me, the area which is untouched, and I would like to explore it more, is the litigation financing, the third party litigation financing. Which is very crucial, because sometimes, litigation is a long phenomenon. It takes years to settle, right? Sometimes, because of the pressures that we have for top line, bottom line, and all those stuff, there are decisions to settle it, right? Whereas we are confident that we are going to win it. If there is a mechanism where litigation can be financed on the basis of its merit, probably you are end up you end up to receive a good recoveries that will add further to your bottom line.
What do you think the GCs should focus on creating impact and value for next few years?
Next year, actually, I think what is expected of GC is the faster contracting, right? Predictable compliance, and then strong governance, data-driven policies, and then technology-enabled process, and a solution-oriented process also. So these things, I think, we need to focus more upon in 2026.
Now that data protection law is in place, so it's the very, very critical for GC to implement the data protection law. Then AI enabled technological advancements in the systems, that's very important. Then timely closure of all the contracts and due diligences, that's very important. And end of the litigation wherever possible. Maybe it's the cost of, you have to settle some litigation, but no protracted litigation.
Understood. So starting with Prakhar, we'll close this in few minutes. Are GCs only reactive, or are you guys are involved in proactively looking at what can go wrong and then add value prior to things have gone wrong? Is there? So everybody, and you can also share your concluding remarks in how legal can be a profit center. So we finished
No,
like that.
so that's a very interesting question. See, in terms of, let me just try and answer the first one. As far as the role of GC is concerned on 2026, just to conclude on that part, I think technology enablement and be ready to assimilate technology, but AI, I would think, is a word of caution, because that needs to be imbibed in a calibrated way. There are a lot of pits and faults. Also, the data protection needs to be kept in mind. More importantly, the governance framework has to be embedded in the beginning. Like, for example, if we are concerned, we actually get into the structuring and also start looking at the exit from the time that we are looking at in evaluating an investment. I mean, it's not even getting into the investment life cycle. So yeah, that is one thing. As far as the cost efficiency is concerned, I think stronger due diligences, so as to be able to anticipate risk. Allocating the risk is equally important, because then only you can have risk adjusted returns that one is looking at. And more importantly, aligning the governance structures in line with the best practices globally. I think these are the central themes, I would think.
Thank you. Debosmita?
Just to also talk about 2026 goal, for me personally, I want to focus on compliance, because this is one area which doesn't seem very obvious as adding measurable value, but it is a very important area, because one instance of non-compliance can wipe away a lot of revenue or growth. So definitely, yes, compliance, I will be focusing on how to make it even more robust. Of course, it is presently very well settled, but something, of course, and everything can be improved upon. Secondly, yes, GCs have to be proactive at this day and age. That's what a true role of a GC is. There are many ways various organizations and teams try to achieve it. In my case, I am part of all the meetings, the weekly meetings that the business carries out. I am part of the quarterly reviews that goes on, so which gives me a bird's eye view of what's going on. And once I know that, is when I can also percolate that down to my team. So my team is also aware of the focus is, maybe for example, next quarter will be on strategic alliances. So when all the contracts that come for that purpose will be prioritized and quickly closed. So we the strategic review meeting. So these days organizations are making their GCs part of all the key meetings, so that he or she is able to gain the insight and also advise when the time comes.
Thank you. So time's up. 10 seconds. Amit ji, Rajiv, and Mr. Susheel ji. Sorry.
So my concluding remarks. So as organizations have started realizing that it is not only the business strategies which are important, but legal strategies, too, are very very important for the businesses to achieve their objective and business goals. Right? Whether it is speed up the contracting, whether it is risk mitigation, whether it is analyzing the potential risk of the industry and whatever. So I think all those things are being given due emphasis these days.
Thank you, Rajiv.
So I would like to end in a poetic way, as I told. In
Yeah.
10 seconds, I have to end this poem. Let's see who can understand. It's a challenge for audience now then. So in boardrooms where numbers rise and fall and strategy speaks in a measured drawl, the GC walks in, calm, clear, awake, a guardian of value in every decision we make. No longer the keeper of caution alone, but the quiet architect of profits grown, turning clauses to catalysts, risks to light, finding revenue hidden in the plain sight. In contracts, we carve tomorrow's speed. In compliance, we plant the culture's seed. Through disputes, we recover lost gold. Through foresight, we protect dreams untold. And as of 2026 draws near our gate, our truth shines through every boardroom debate. A GC's power isn't in stopping the storm. A GC's power isn't in stopping the storm, but in helping the business outthink, outpace, transform, outthink, outpace, transform. Thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sushil ji, 10 seconds and we wind. Thank you so much.
Yeah, as I said earlier, GCs have a very strategic role in the changing business environment. And my advice to all the young GCs, please know your business, know your law, know your regulations very well before you step into the bigger roles. Thank you.
Thank you. It had been a wonderful panel. Can we have a big round of applause? I think